So we walked past one door that said, surveillance cameras in use, violators will be shot, or something like that. And I was like, I haven't seen a sign like that since I was in America. And my companion thought it was funny to just turn and like wave at the camera that we could obviously see, but we thought the camera was either fake or that the person was not really going to watch it. And we walked past that door. She smiled and waved. We walked past it and go to the other door, and we knock on that one, and we're waiting. And this first door cracks open, and I look over, and the first thing I see is a pistol. Just like poking out of the door, and then a face behind the pistol. And then the guy says in Finnish, "What are you doing?" And we were like, "Oh, we're just knocking on this door here." And he's like, "Nobody lives there." And we're like, "Oh, good info. We're gonna leave now." And he was like, "Okay, good." And then like brings the gun back in and like pulls his face back and shuts the door. And me and my companion looked at each other and we just, what just happened? We were teaching somebody once and he brought a friend. And the friend kept saying, asking us why we weren't wearing clothes all the way down to here and where were our habits. He thought that we were nuns. And so eventually it like took us a long time to figure that out. And so eventually I was like, "Hey, we're not nuns." And he goes, "Yes, you are nuns." Which was like funny enough, but it just kept getting like crazier and crazier. And I think the funniest moment of that was there was this bee. We were teaching outside and there was a bee that was floating around. And this guy kills the bee. Our friend that we're teaching says basically the equivalent of, "Oh, the bee went dead," in his broken Finnish. And then the first guy eats the bee, just puts it right in his mouth. And like we all lost it. We could not understand why he did that. And like what was the thought process? So he ate the bee and like we did not go back to talking about Jesus. We couldn't bring it back after that. He was not a Finn, I should clarify. I have one favorite story about Finnish history, and I don't know if I know all of the details, but I'm going to tell it anyway because it's my favorite. So Finland has been in a lot of wars. It was owned by Sweden for a very long time, then Russia, then got its independence in 1917, which means that Finland is a little bit over 100 years old. And one of my favorite stories is of a time when they were fighting for their independence against Russia. And at this time, the Russian army had more people in it than the population of Finland. That's what they were up against. And Russia was rapidly approaching the capital city, and it started to look like all was lost. The president of Finland got on the radio and did a nationwide broadcast. And he gave a speech kind of trying to rouse the Finnish. Sisu is a Finnish word that means like bravery, courage, having the right stuff. So he's trying to rouse the Finnish Sisu. And then my favorite part of the story, his wife gets on the radio to do her part of the speech. And what she asks them to do is to pray as a country. And she says, "Everybody kneel down right now. We're going to say a prayer for our country." And I've spoken to people who were alive when this happened. One of them was in a grocery store listening to the radio announcement because they didn't own a radio. And she told me that everybody in the grocery store immediately knelt down and began to pray. People knelt in their homes. They got out of their cars. They knelt in the grocery store. They knelt wherever they were. And as a country, Finland asked God to deliver them. And the fascinating thing is that when you look at Finnish history, it was almost like that was a turning point in the war. After that happened, there started to be all of these crazy, off-the-wall miracle ideas, like sniping people while skiing and hiding bombers in roads so that the tanks would drive over them. They would detonate the bomb. Then the bomber would get up and walk away totally fine. All of these ideas that allowed them to, as a very small group of people, take on a very large army. And when they did that, eventually, well, Finland won, and they have their independence today. And the people that I know who were there in that moment when they prayed, because the president's wife, Kaisa, asked them to, attribute that to that moment. Those people that were there and said that prayer believe that God is the one who helped them win that war. One of my very favorite things about the Finnish culture and the Finnish people is that they are incredibly helpful. I noticed that if I were to go up to a Finnish person and ask them just for directions, instead of telling me where to go or walking with me a little bit, almost every time that Finnish person would walk me all the way to my destination, sometimes taking up to 20 minutes out of their day to help me get where I was trying to go. And a lot of people comment on how reserved and quiet Finns are, but they're doing that out of consideration. And if you need more help from them, if you need something else from them, they will give it to you. They're also very loyal. And so when you enter into a Finn's heart, you don't leave. It's just a part of them and a part of you now. For cultural do's and don'ts, I think, one, the shoes, taking them off when you come in. Do make sure that you take your shoes off. Do give people enough physical space. There is not a lot of people in Finland, and there's a very large landmass. So I think Finnish people have gotten used to the idea of we have room to not be right on top of each other all the time. And so if you respect that, you will get their trust a lot more. Because I find that if you are like too physically close, or you, even emotionally, if you show too much like intimacy with somebody really fast, it can throw them off and make them a little bit less ready to trust you. But that is different with every person, obviously, and it applies a lot more for the older generations. A lot of the younger generations of Finnish people have been in a more global social climate with social media. A lot of them watch a lot of American TV, and those things have made them more like Americans, or more like global citizens. And so with younger people, you can get away with a lot more. You can be a lot friendlier, you can get up closer, you can joke more, but don't be offended if they don't smile back at you when you smile at them in public. But do know that they are not mad, they're just quiet. If you are going to Finland, you should go to Turku. And maybe I'm a little bit biased. I'm a little bit obsessed with it. I lived there for 6 months. But it is the most incredible place in the world. It's a stunning city. It is like just the right amount of busy and quiet. Where like Helsinki is go, go, go all the time. Turku is like you can enjoy being there. There's a river that runs right through the middle of the city, and these beautiful, stunning bridges that have chairs on them. At Christmas time, they have trees, like Christmas trees all over them. In the spring, they covered the bridge with daffodils. And if you go to Turku, then you should go to Naantali. Maybe I shouldn't say that, because right now it's the world's best kept secret. But it is absolutely stunning. If you go to Finland and you have the chance, if you have some Finnish friends, go to their mökki. It's like a lakeside cabin, usually. And they're very central to the Finnish identity. Like, almost everybody has a mökki. I even knew of one guy who didn't own a home. He was technically homeless. He would get money in Helsinki from, like, begging and collecting recycling, and then go and live in his mökki. So he had to do it, like, every other week, because there was no way for him to make money out at the mökki. But he had to come into Helsinki to make money. But he was homeless, but he owned a mökki. So, like, very central to the Finnish identity. So if you get a chance, go to a mökki. Enjoy, if it's summer, enjoy swimming and roasting makkara, which is like a type of Finnish sausage. Eat it with Finnish mustard. It's way good. And go sauna. I never got to sauna, but you should go sauna. I really love that Finnish people know how to appreciate quiet, and all of them make it a regular, I won't overgeneralize and say all, but almost everybody will make it a regular part of their day or their week or their schedule in some way to spend time in nature, usually alone. And that, I think, does a lot for an individual, but when you have an entire country doing that, there's this like inner stillness that comes from that. They have a very long history with a lot of having to fight to be who they are, but they've always done that with this stunning bravery that is overwhelming. And I think part of that comes from this time that they spend almost in meditation. I love Finnish food in general. I really like riisipiraka, which is like small rye crust rice pie. Lohikeito, which is, what is that in English? Salmon soup. It's like a cream-based soup with bits of salmon and potato and dill in it, and I've never met somebody who tried it and didn't like it. And like, it's the ultimate comfort food. And maybe it's just because like I have Scandinavian heritage, and that's what like my ancestry wants, but it's so good. There's a lot of really good desserts and candies. Fatser is a very influential chocolate company. Almost every chocolate product in the store will be Fatser, and they're all amazing. There's a type of bread called pulla that is like a braided sweet bread with cardamom in it. I'm actually going to make some tomorrow. It is really good, and like any form of it is amazing, because sometimes they'll make like cinnamon, they're not cinnamon rolls, but they're kind of like cinnamon rolls, and other stuff with it, and it's so good. Seriously, it's insane. A lot of the Christmas foods are kind of off the wall. I liked them, but not everybody does. So one of them is like a big loaf of bread with a whole fish baked in the middle. And a lot of people get kind of creeped out by that. Another one that is really popular at Christmas is a casserole that has like liver chopped up in it. Yet again, I liked it, but I didn't know it was liver when I ate it, so maybe that helped. My very first impression flying into Helsinki was like, oh, this looks like home. For two reasons. One, it looks kind of like Maryland, where I'm from. And two, it felt like I was coming home. It felt like a place for me. Some of the strangest first impressions was like the first time I went to a grocery store was surprisingly difficult. It like was an emotional experience for me because it was so different from what I was used to, and everything was in Finnish, which I was still learning to speak. How you buy produce is different. You have to like take the fruit, put it on the scale, press a button, get a sticker, put the sticker on the fruit. And like that is a simple task to me now, but when I first got there it was like, this is crazy town. It's incredibly beautiful. When I think about Finland and my memories there, everywhere is just beautiful. And I remember, especially in my first few weeks there, just walking around every day and being amazed that everywhere I was some kind of beautiful. Whether that was because I was in the middle of a forest or by the ocean, or even in the middle of Helsinki, there are trees and parks and amazing people. It's just an amazing place to be. There's like a very distinctive Finnish style that you'll start to notice as you go to people's homes. It's really cool. It's very maybe minimalist, but also very woodsy. And there will usually be a lot of, at least in every home, one or two traditional items. So there's these traditional wall rugs, I guess is the best way to describe it. And they're kind of abstract usually. And it's a very old Finnish tradition to make them. And a lot of people will have them hanging in their homes. You always take off your shoes when you go into a Finnish house. The people that were helping us adjust to Finland told us, like, even if the host says you can keep your shoes on, if their shoes are off, take your shoes off. The only times I didn't do that is if somebody's home was obviously not very well kept and they kept their shoes on. It was an indicator to me that it would be totally fine and not at all offensive if I kept my shoes on. When you're traveling in Finland, you can get anywhere by public transport. You can get from Helsinki to Rovaniemi on a train. And Rovaniemi is like one of the highest cities where people actually live. It's where Santa lives also, if you're interested in that. I miss the people. I miss the people that became my friends and then became my family there. They are some of the most amazing people that I have ever gotten the chance to meet. And I miss the forests. I miss that sense of complete peace and wonder that you can get in the Finnish forests. If you ever get a chance to go to the national forest, it's incredible. It's like walking through Lord of the Rings. Like, there's moss on these huge boulders, moss everywhere. It felt like the games of make-believe I used to play as a kid. I would pretend I was in some enchanted forest. And I got to Finland and I lived that reality. I got to Finland July 2018 and I left Finland October 2019, which means I had 1 winter and 2 summers. My first summer was the hottest Finnish summer on record. So that was fun. And then I was serving in Kerava at that time, which is a small town just outside of Helsinki. It is so lovely and so quaint. They do concerts in the middle of the town square on Saturdays in the summer, and there's flowers in all of the street lamps. Like, if you want to picture a perfect quiet town, it's Kerava. Then after that, I moved to Turku right around Christmas. And I stayed there from Christmas to Midsummers, which is another big holiday in Finland. So I was there for a while and had the snowiest winter that Turku has had in 100 years. So I went from the hottest summer to the snowiest winter. And then I moved back to Helsinki in Itäkeskus, so the east center of Helsinki. And I visited a couple other cities, but for the most part I was in Helsinki and Turku. Both of them are spectacular places to be. I liked the quieter side of Helsinki, but I like the quieter side of everything, I think. I like cities, I like bustle, but there's something enchanting to me about a place that knows how to take its time. And so I really liked Kerava for that, and I liked Turku for that. Almost everybody that met me that didn't know a lot about who we were and what we were doing would ask us about Donald Trump, all the time. And when we're there as missionaries, we don't talk about political things. And so we would always kind of just divert the conversation or say, we don't talk about that. We're here to talk about the Savior, that kind of thing. But, it was a question that was on the forefront of so many Finnish people's minds. Oh, that's an American. I wonder how they feel about Donald Trump. Christmas is a big deal. One of my favorite Christmas traditions is to go to a graveyard and light candles for the deceased. And when you go around Christmas to a graveyard, it's just filled with light. And it is so stunning. It was breathtaking, because it was not just the light that was a beautiful thing, but the fact that these people were remembering and caring about their deceased loved ones and their ancestors that just took my breath away. There are a couple of holidays that we don't really celebrate here in the States that they celebrate pretty big. One of them is Vappu, or May Day. I don't really know how Vappu became a thing, but in order to celebrate it, it involves drinking drinking in general, but also in particular drinking this traditional Finnish lemonade type drink with a really low alcohol content called Sima. And everybody wears their graduation hats, and Finnish graduation hats look kind of like a sailor's cap. They're white with a bill and a little gold thing. And on Vappu, everybody wears them. So it's just a sea of graduation caps. And then the next holiday after that is Juhannus, or Midsummers. And you celebrate that just by barbecuing, going to your muki, generally enjoying the fact that it's summer, and that on Midsummers, that's the longest day of the year. So it's summer and you don't have to stop enjoying the fact that it's summer and the sun is out. And so much celebration happens because the sun is there, because in the winter you get 3 hours of sunlight. And you learn to appreciate the sun in a totally different way. So after a Finnish winter, you come into summer and it's glorious. And it makes complete sense that they would have a holiday specifically to celebrate the longest day of the year. Finland is a really safe country. You don't have to worry too much about things getting stolen or getting mugged. Like, if you drop something on the street, even if it's really valuable, like your cell phone, it is significantly more likely that you will just find it placed somewhere where you might be able to find it later. They'll put it up on a post or something like that. They'll hang hats and scarves from trees if they find them on the ground. A recent study showed which countries would bring back stolen wallets, like lost wallets. If you dropped a wallet in a city, how often would it get back to the owner? And Finland had the highest return rate. It was only 1 out of the, I think, 13 wallets that they had intentionally lost in Helsinki that didn't make its way back. Obviously, still don't be stupid, but Finland is a really safe place to be. Your biggest danger is honestly ice and cold. And if you know how to take care of those things, then you'll be fine. Let me see if I can remember how to not speak Finnish properly. Tämä on minun huono morto. Oh gosh, I hate this. Terv, mitäs kuuluu? Olen Maren. Hauska tavata. Oh gosh, I hated that so much. The same sentence in better Finnish is Tämä on minun hyvä murto. Moi. En sanoisi terve, jos puhuin suomea oikeasti. Mitä kuuluu? Ennen kuin tulin tietämään, että tulisin Suomeen, se jännitti, että en tiennyt mihin menisin. Ja minulla oli tämä uni, eli uneksin unen, jossa olin todella onnellinen ja olin kauniissa paikassa. Ja tärkein oli, että ihmisiä ympärilläni olivat mukavia ja kilttejä ja tunsin heidän rakastavan minua ja tunsin minun rakastavan heitä. En tiennyt silloin, että tämä ihana paikka, josta minä uneksin, oli Suomi. Suomi on aina sydämessäni. Minun aika Suomessa muutti elämäni. Ja se muutti minun elämäni, koska suomalaiset rakastavat minua ja he antavat niin paljon tai annatte niin paljon ihmisille. Olen aina ihmeisen, kuinka paljon te autatte muita ja Suomi on sielun kotipaikka. Ja se on pieni ihme maailmassa, että on paikka, jossa ihmisiä pitävät huolta toinen toisista. Ja jossa ihmiset tietävät, miten olla hiljainen ja nauttia luonnosta. Ja että on paikka maailmassa, että on Suomea.